Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning into this. This is HotPot's series of video interviews on China success. Today we're getting legal, and as a business, you'll know HotPot's core focus is on holistic marketing success, but it's obviously vital to have the right legal framework in place for your marketing initiatives in China. Many brands we work with are initially focused on legal areas like IP, trademark, partner relationships. But it's also critically important to understand the evolving nature of Chinese advertising law and data protection. So with that in mind, I'm delighted to be joined by Robin Tabbers. Robin is principal of R&P China Lawyers, a Chinese law firm with offices in Shanghai and Beijing and over 50 staff. Robin assists international businesses with legal issues in China, so combining legal expertise and his experience in the Chinese business environment to provide clients with tailored legal and strategic advice. First question is, if you take a new market entrant to China, what are the bare minimum legal requirements and elements that a brand needs to have squared away before pressing go on a China strategy?
Yeah, sure. So every brand sells a different product. So situations are different, but I recommend to keep three things in mind. First off, trademark registrations in China. It's a national matter. Their international registrations doesn't work very well with China. China applies a first to file system, and this is a key issue. So anyone who files before you do, even though you feel you're the righteous owner of a brand, they will have that right, and you need to fight them. Mm-hmm. And that may take you a couple of years in court. What that means is often you need to pay up and find a settlement with that person or company that applied for the brand. So we help the UK retailer. They end up paying almost £2 million to get their trademark back. And surely we would have won in court, but it just took too long. Rebranding is not an option because marketing wise and production wise, it's way too expensive to rebrand. Yeah. So the solution is to pay. So I advise companies, don't fall for the same mistake that others made and register it before you're consider even booking a ticket to come to China, right? Because otherwise others may do it before you.
Yeah. Great. And yeah, there's lots of cases where, the moment there's an inkling of interest in the China market, someone may have already filed or may have also been squatting on your URL within the China market as well. So definitely the upfront cost there versus the cost of long litigation seems to be a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, no, definitely. Second one would be check if there's any potential legal restrictions. Mm-hmm. So that can relate to import or the domestic sales of products, which may be restricted to foreign ownership. Mm-hmm. At the same time, your product itself may also require special licenses or certificates. So I'm thinking about customs recordation, medical device registration, certificates for bio, for organic. You may require a food business license if you're selling anything that's edible. So you need to keep that in mind and make sure that actually your products can be sold in China. Otherwise, you spend a lot of money and time and effort to come to the conclusion that actually China is not a market for you.
Yeah.
Thirdly, I recommend to always have future steps in mind. There's a couple of ways to sell into China, mainly cross-border and going directly into China. So selling domestically, usually on platforms. Mm. Now, if that is part of your plan, say immediately or in 6 to 12 months, you need to realize that you are benefiting from having a permanent establishment in China, having a subsidiary. If not, you need to use third parties, trading agents or other providers who then hold part of your registration. And we'll come to that later, but that is definitely not a desired situation. Now, setting up a subsidiary will take you 3 to 5 months, so be sure to start right away.
Yeah. But that's a great segue into the second question, which is, many brands have had a good start with a distributor or a TP, a partner in the market, but, then there's a need to move on after a certain time period to kind of help optimize their performance. That can sometimes leave things like social and digital channels in the hands of the previous distributor, or even things like Tmall stores and kind of, front-end e-commerce. So some clients find that challenging. Are there legal routes open to them if they are struggling to kind of wrestle back control of those channels?
Yeah, so we're dealing with this a lot, unfortunately. I have two recommendations in this respect. And first of all, prevention is better than the cure. So what is important is that when you engage another party, make sure that you discuss what happens when you're no longer working together, but also make sure that you have a legal reason to terminate the contract. Because if you do, chances are that the other party understands and takes his losses and is doing a peaceful transfer of all the channel and all the work and the data they've collected and so on.
Right.
A lot of companies are not taking this very serious. They sign a very brief contract, and then at the end they have no rights to terminate. And that is a tremendous issue, because without a clear contract, without a clear clause, your now disengaged partner will hold your channel's ransom. I'm seeing this all the time, over and over again, and they do so because they're waiting for you to reach for your wallet. And sadly enough, platforms aren't helping, rightfully so, I must say. Filing a lawsuit, that may help, but it takes a long time. So in the process of filing a lawsuit, in those months, you will not have sales, you don't have customer engagement, so the reputation of your channels goes down, and that usually causes more financial damages than the settlement payment that you would be able to negotiate in the first place. So we do recommend negotiating.
Makes sense. How does the China cybersecurity law, so the GDPR equivalent, affect these efforts for a global brand operating in China?
Yeah. So under the CSL, they are dealing with the collection of personal data, and there are certain requirements and restrictions for global brand that operates in China when it comes to managing their CRM system, and this relates to the collecting, the storing, the using, but also the cross-border transfer of that data. To me, the principle is data that's collected in China and from Chinese consumers should be stored in China. Now, CSL is too general to conclude that cross-border transfers of personal data by a brand itself are prohibited. But if one thing is sure from the draft measures that are not yet legally effective, it is that there will soon be stringent restrictions on these cross-border transfer of personal data. So the current and the future collection of this data of consumers, but also of employers, requires global brands to establish a digital infrastructure in China, whether they do it in-house or whether they have a third party to do that. That is fine, but it's different than what they're doing in other countries where they store it on their global service, which doesn't work. So I would personally recommend foreign brands obtain consent. It's very important. Adopt internal rules on how to deal with data, and finally try to limit or eliminate the cross-border transfer of any personal data until you've obtained professional legal advice from a data privacy lawyer.
Great. Robin, that's been fantastic. Thank you so much. That was 5 minutes of sort of lightning insight into the Chinese legal landscape. Obviously, some very much deeper topics there that you can go into, but we've been able to scratch the surface today, which has been great. From a brand's perspective, and in terms of our audience, if this has kind of piqued your interest and generated further questions for you around your brand in China, or around the legal environment in China, please do get in touch. Along with this video on LinkedIn and on our blog, you will find contact details for HotPot and R&P directly. So please do get in touch with any questions. Just remains for me to thank you, Robin, for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the insight. And we will speak again soon.
Thank you.